In 1994, a group of researchers went to sea off the coast of Florida on a regular scientific shift. What they saw at night left them speechless. Around 5:30 in the evening, right above the surface of the water next to the boats, something dark and dense hung, as if a piece of rock was held in the air by itself. Not a sound, it just hung. And in the distance in the sky, red lights lit up and went in strange zigzags. They filmed everything on an old camcorder, but even after reviewing the film, they could not explain either the lights or that black stone above the water. On the recording, a person climbs a high mountain on an island, just for a beautiful view, but the camera catches something completely different. While he films the neighboring island, from its peak, one after another glowing apparatuses begin to rise and go into the sky, clearly in turn, as if a launch is taking place according to a schedule. In his voice there is confusion. He repeats that they all come out of one point. Maybe there is a hidden base there, maybe something completely different. One thing is clear, it looked the least like the work of human hands. This video of 2021 spread across the network in a matter of hours. People noticed a glow among the clouds, 4 yellow lights slowly moving across the sky, as if a dark veil hid something much larger behind it. Some immediately started talking about a mothership. Others remembered about TR-3B, rumors about a secret triangular apparatus based on technologies that they allegedly assembled by taking apart an alien find. Officially, such a machine does not exist, and not a single country recognizes it. Neither the former nor the latter have proof, and the 4 lights just floated in the darkness, not explaining what holds them together. Recently declassified footage from Spain shows what even the military could not fully explain. A bright, disc-shaped object came close to a Spanish Air Force fighter jet during a routine flight. It glowed as if something unknown powered it. The pilots tried to follow, but the unidentified flying object jerked too fast and began to leave beyond the border of foreign airspace. They had to turn away. Whatever it was, it clearly did not recognize any flight rules. The film crew was working in the snowy mountains of Norway and raised a drone for the sake of a beautiful shot. Instead of a calm panorama, the camera caught something else. A large, disc-shaped object hanging low above the ground was raising clouds of either smoke or snow from it. Someone decided that in this remote place something truly alien was happening, and as soon as the apparatus noticed the drone, it immediately went into the clouds. The group remained standing on the slope, not understanding what had just gotten into their shot. A tourist was wandering through the quiet mountains of Ethiopia and was simply filming the landscape when something caught his eye. At first, he mistook it for a bird gliding across the sky, but on the zoom, it turned out otherwise. A disc-shaped object was smoothly moving above the peaks. In a matter of seconds, it went behind the mountains as if it had never been there. The Ethiopian highlands rise in places above 4 kilometers, and there are almost no people in these parts, an ideal place to appear unnoticed and just as unnoticed to disappear. Someone suggested that a base is hidden in these hills, which we are not supposed to know about, and looking at the footage, you almost believe in this. Fishermen went to sea for a normal catch and definitely did not expect this. A glowing object traced the sky, and right behind it flew fighter jets. Cameras captured the moment when the apparatus made a sharp turn and without any braking went straight into the water. The airplane circled over the surface, but they could not go under the water after it. Even helicopters pulled up, scouring the waves. The fishermen swore that the water moved as if something huge was moving below. Whatever it was, it went to the depths and did not return. The ocean knows how to keep secrets. Even today, its bottom is studied worse than the surface of the moon. A married couple was busy on their small farm when something that could not be there hung overhead. A large, dark apparatus froze in the sky, and around it a perfect circle of small glowing spheres lined up. The little ones moved smoothly, as if they were guarding the main one or repeating every movement after him. The couple remained standing with the camera turned on, unable to say a word. And the most uncomfortable thing is the silence. No roar of engines, no whistle, nothing. Not an airplane, not a drone show, just a calm, calibrated formation that slowly went behind the clouds. A driver in Mexico was returning home and suddenly saw something in the sky that made his foot find the brake on its own. Not one, 3 huge saucers were moving side by side. He pulled over to the side of the road and grabbed his telephone, and nearby others were doing the same. The apparatuses shone and slowly rotated around their axis, too substantial to write off as a drone or a glare on the glass. People abandoned their cars right on the road and looked up until the trio dissolved in the clouds. That night, the whole city talked about the sky. In 2015, a retired flight engineer of the naval forces told about his service in Antarctica, and his words made one feel uneasy. His crew more than once saw shiny round objects over the trans-Antarctic mountains. They dashed in groups, in an even formation, as if they were scanning something. And during a rescue flight, the aircraft accidentally entered a closed zone, and below them opened a giant sinkhole in the ice, about 200 feet wide, going obliquely deep. This is about 60 meters, half of a football field, just a hole in the glacier. The instruments immediately went crazy. Soon people in uniform appeared and ordered them to keep quiet about this for the rest of their lives. Many are sure, under the ice something is hidden that we were not supposed to see. Antarctica is the most closed continent on the planet. Entire regions of it remain blank spots even on modern maps, and it is possible to hide a very great deal there. Before the interstellar object 3I/Atlas entered the solar system, according to stories, astronomers noticed a strangeness. The name itself speaks of the rarity of the guest. This is only the 3rd interstellar object noticed in our system, after Oumuamua in 2017 and Borisov's comet in 2019. From that exact point in space where the object was supposed to appear the next day, according to this version, came a clear repeating signal, not noise, an even pattern, as if someone was transmitting something. When 3I/Atlas was finally seen, a part of the observers wondered, is this a comet at all? The Harvard physicist Avi Loeb, known for his bold hypotheses about cosmic guests, allowed that under the guise of a comet, an apparatus could be hiding, covered by a successful choice of time and place. There is no proof of this, but according to this version, the object arrived exactly when the signal died down. In Panama, they started talking about a meteorite that fell in a field and started glowing at night. The guy who found the stone noticed something even stranger. He put a leaf on top, and it seemingly caught fire, as if the stone reacted to it. And then something began to grow from the find, alive, moving, not eating and not sleeping. He posted every step on the network. When the scientist returned the stone after checking, he threw it into the water to see what would happen. And then it began to rapidly swell. The last thing he showed was water gushing over the edge. At this point, the broadcast cut off. How it all ended, no one knows. He was flying over the sea in his own airplane to a small island and was simply looking out the porthole. At first, he mistook them for oncoming airliners. 2 bright dots were gliding above the clouds. Then he made out that behind them, not lagging behind, were 2 F-22, some of the fastest fighter jets of the United States Air Force, machines capable of more than doubling the speed of sound. And right here, everything stopped being ordinary. The dots tore to the sides, changed direction with a jerk, without a turn, without a smooth arc. No airplane with a person inside knows how to do this. On such maneuvers, the overload would simply crush the pilot. He grabbed his telephone, but there was almost nothing to film anymore. In a couple of seconds, the glowing spheres melted away, and only the fighter jets going into the void remained in the frame. There was a chase, but there was no one left to catch up with. People all over Israel in one evening tipped their heads up to the sky and fell silent. Dozens of lights slowly floated above them. In the center, a large glowing object, not resembling either an airplane or a drone, too large, too even in movement. And around it, holding formation, moved smaller apparatuses. From the side, it looked like a guard, as if the little ones are accompanying the main one and do not let anyone approach him. The video clip flew around the network in hours, and they argued about one thing. What was this anyway? Secret military exercises with new equipment, or a formation that was not assembled on Earth? The lights left just as calmly as they arrived, not leaving a single answer. Only the recording remained, which since then they rewatch as one of the clearest formations in the sky ever filmed on a telephone. A guy was climbing to the highest point of the city for the sake of the view, and noticed something wrong above him. High in the daytime sky, a disc hung motionless, reflecting palely in the sun. He turned on the camera, and at this moment, the apparatus seemingly hooked something near the ground, and then went upwards with such speed that the eye could not keep up. Once, and a clear sky as if nothing had been there. The recording cuts off exactly on this. No chase, no flash, no sound. Only a person who remains standing with his head raised and does not know what he just filmed. In 2018, something unfolded over Mexico that people still argue about to this day. Dozens of glowing spheres appeared as if from nowhere and floated across the night sky, synchronously, in an even pattern. At first they decided, a drone show or a firework of a new type, but the design did not form into anything familiar. The spheres moved as if they had a common task and someone alone was setting the course. There were too many of them to write off as reflections, and they held too evenly to believe in coincidence. The video spread overnight, and the more it was re-watched, the fewer simple explanations remained. The city fell asleep, but the question remained hanging along with those lights. Residents of Maryland went numb when 3 blue objects lit up in the night sky. They did not fly like airplanes, did not tremble like drones. They simply stood in place and every few seconds flared up brighter. The people had a strange feeling, as if these lights wanted to be noticed, as if someone up there is specifically demanding attention. An airplane blinks according to strict rules. A satellite floats in an even arc, but these just stood and breathed with light, not obeying anything. And then they began to go out, one by one, calmly, without haste. The clip ended almost immediately, and it remained only to guess. Was this a signal to someone specific, or just another riddle that they will forget tomorrow? In 1968, in the region of the Ural Mountains, if stories are to be believed, something strange happened. Eyewitnesses spoke of the crash of an unknown apparatus and of the military who instantly cordoned off the place. It was rumored that they pulled a disc-shaped ship from the ground, and nearby, a tiny body resembling a pilot. For long years, all this hid under the stamp of secrecy, and when the Soviet Union fell apart, documents and films began to surface. On one of them, supposedly a small creature from the crash site and people in lab coats conducting an autopsy on it. No one has ever proven the authenticity of the footage, but the story lives on, and such stories usually do not live in an empty place. In 1997, at White Sands in New Mexico, a glowing object tore from the sky. These places are special. Right here, at the White Sands Missile Range, in 1945, the first atomic explosion in history thundered. The recording shows how the object enters the desert, leaving behind a streak of light. Someone immediately said, "An unidentified flying object." Others reminded, "They are always testing something here, and a fiery trail in the sky is not news for the locals." But then the most uncomfortable thing began. No messages, no noise, no traces of cleanup. Just now a fiery trail was tracing the sky, and suddenly they stopped talking about it all at once, as if there was nothing. Silence is sometimes more suspicious than any explosion. People in Mexico froze when a huge triangle appeared in the night sky. It did not move, it just hung, illuminated from below by sharp white lights. The air around seemingly quivered, as if some field was working there. Someone said that it looked like lightning locked inside the clouds. Whatever it was, it stood motionless for several minutes, and then slowly melted, as if it had never been hung in the sky, without a sound, without movement, without a trace. In North Carolina, the night turned into something no one expected. 2 spheres lit up in the sky, one red, the other bright purple. At first, ordinary lights, of which there are enough, and then they floated towards each other and merged into one large sphere, and it went out. Someone kept talking about a trick with drones. Someone was sure, this is not from our planet. At the moment of merging, the sky around flashed for a second, and immediately fell into complete silence. 2 lights became one and disappeared together. A chain of blue lights glided across the night sky, holding formation so evenly as if it was moving along an invisible thread. At first they thought satellites or a flock of drones, but the lights changed shade and stayed too close to each other for random dots in the sky. Someone said that it was like a frame from a science fiction movie, and the longer you look, the stronger this feeling is, that the formation was lead, and it did not form like this by itself. The lights went away in a single line, not straying by a single meter. This frame from Spain put people at a dead end. A man was wandering through the abandoned outskirts and filming when something began to move in the sky. Not a drone, not an airplane. The shape is strange, closer to a ship than to anything familiar. And the most inexplicable thing, the apparatus seemingly released something smaller from itself, straight upwards, and then smoothly descended and sat behind the hills. He zoomed in, but the main object was no longer in the frame. Military tests, say some, not from Earth, others are sure, but the recording remains too convincing to simply brush it off. This clip is like a cut frame from science fiction. Low above the ground hangs a bright disk, and a person standing nearby begins to be pulled upwards, as if by an invisible force. And here, the apparatus seemingly notices that it is being filmed. In seconds, the person is softly lowered back, and the disk itself goes out of sight faster than anything that got into a camera lens. It looks impossible, but the reactions and timing are so alive that it is hard to believe in a stage setup. Whoever was at the helm, he clearly did not want witnesses. In March 2025 in the Colombian Bucaramanga, a metallic sphere fell from the sky, snagging a power transmission line. At first, everyone decided ordinary garbage from orbit, but when specialists took it up, strangenesses began. On the sphere, there was not a single seam, not a small screw, a solid, perfectly smooth surface, as if it was not assembled from parts but cast entirely. Scanning showed inside tiny moving parts, not resembling any known equipment. And one day, during a sound test, the sphere answered. From inside, a faint blue light appeared, and one of the inner parts shifted. The tests were immediately stopped, and until now, no one knows what woke it up and whether it finished answering. In New Jersey, a woman went out into the yard to a strange hum over the neighborhood, raised her head, and there are two glowing drones, a red and a bright white one, as if dancing around each other. At first she thought, one is the police officers, the other is someone's stray, but then it did not go like that. The red one directed its light straight at the white one, as if it was trying to identify it. The white one hovered for a couple of seconds, jerked upwards into the clouds, and disappeared entirely. The story with the mysterious drones over New Jersey thundered across the whole country then, and this yard added to it one more frame without explanation. After decades of rumors, a statement appeared. They found the exact place where the Roswell object crashed in 1947, away from that field where they once gathered metallic wreckage. Approximately 27 miles away, they allegedly discovered a small object in the shape of an egg, the size of a Volkswagen Beetle, that is, slightly longer than 4 meters. Witnesses described it as smooth, almost polished, without a single hatch or seam. Someone added that strange remains were found nearby, although what it was, no one really said. Both researchers and saucer hunters gravitated to the place, calling this the best lead in the most famous riddle about unidentified flying objects. The official version from 1947 sounds mundane. At first the weather balloon, later the secret Project Mogul with aerostats for spying on Soviet nuclear tests. But as soon as the speech turns to a ship with bodies inside, the conversation immediately goes to a completely different level. A family got out into a quiet corner of the desert and filmed a frame from science fiction there. While they were filming the landscape, they noticed 3 glowing spheres, frozen in an even triangle above the sand. The lights silently hung for several seconds, and then did a strange thing. They began to go out one by one, dissolving in the sky, until it seemed that they had never been there. On the network, this was called one of the cleanest cases, when the camouflage of an unidentified flying object was caught on camera. A technology that we do not understand yet, say some. Not ours at all, answer others, and the sand under that place just remained empty. For the first time, radar footage filmed right on board a military ship confirmed unknown objects circled around it for hours. In 2019, off the coast of San Diego, the crew of the destroyer United States ship Omaha noticed several glowing dots that surrounded the ship from all sides. At first, they decided a swarm of drones, but the radar showed otherwise. No wings, no exhaust, and the movement is too smooth for equipment from earthly factories. The military among themselves nicknamed such objects tic-tacs for the smooth, streamlined shape without a single detail on the outside. For almost 2 hours, the sailors watched how one of the glowing spheres moved next to the board and then dived into the ocean and disappeared from all sensors at once. The Pentagon later confirmed that the filming is authentic and did not give it a single explanation. It is precisely from such episodes that the wave grew, after which in the United States they started a separate service for unidentified objects, and the term flying saucer itself in official papers was replaced by a dry abbreviation. In 2015, a man in Egypt was simply filming the night panorama of the city and caught something that is hard to believe in. 3 glowing saucers slowly moved across the dark sky, not airplanes, and certainly not stars. The objects glided in an even formation completely silently. Nearby, others noticed them and also grabbed for their telephones, and in a few seconds the lights blinked all at once and disappeared together. Whatever passed over Cairo then, it did not look like something earthly. Early morning in the South African Republic, a man notices a strange glow outside the window of his apartment, points the zoom, and the blurred spot slowly turns into a huge disc-shaped object, motionlessly hovered almost at the very ground. The air around seemingly swam, as if the apparatus was giving off some kind of energy. He filmed without taking his eyes off until the light began to fade and the shape dissolved in the morning haze. The footage trembles, the picture is so-so, and still this is one of those video clips that gives you chills. A group of friends was driving along the highway in New Mexico and filmed something unreal on camera. Next to them, a saucer was moving across the sky, almost keeping their speed. Out of curiosity, they drove after it, and here the object slowed down its pace and went down to the ground. It hid behind a tall building as if it was landing exactly there. The guys could not believe in what they saw. Too smoothly, too controlled for something ordinary. The road knew no more about this than they themselves did. This strange photograph was taken from the roof of a hotel over a quiet beach. At first it seemed that the police had cordoned off an empty place, but when the photo was enhanced and enlarged, at the very edge of the water they made out a figure, something that resembled a human little. Locals said that that night an unidentified flying object allegedly fell into the water not far away. Maybe this creature washed ashore later, and someone even whispers that the recent alien drones in those parts are not drones at all. Leaked videos went across the network. In a remote place flies something that looks like a crashed apparatus. Witnesses nearby assured that inside the wreckage something was moving. Small, fast, and clearly unhealthy. One of the silhouettes, according to their words, did not move at all. People watched from afar for almost 2 hours, until the military arrived and closed the whole zone. The authorities still deny that anything happened there at all. This footage tells a completely different story. Somewhere high in the snow-covered mountains, a tourist caught on camera something completely unusual. Filming the view, he noticed a huge, unidentified flying object silently hanging over the peaks. A little later, 2 smaller apparatuses seemingly separated from it, slipped behind the mountains and disappeared. And after them, the large one also left. The video clip spread quickly, and under it they repeated one thing. Maybe behind those ridges something is hidden that they did not intend to show us. A man was driving along a quiet forest road and something stood out from the usual picture. By the trees stood a camper van, seemingly nothing special, until next to it he noticed a strange round object, metallic with dull multicolored lights shimmering in a circle. And a little to the side, 2 tall figures motionless as if they do not belong here. He grabbed his telephone but did not have time to approach closer. The lights dimmed and everything around that point simply drowned in the darkness. When he returned there later, neither the van nor the round object nor traces on the ground were there anymore. A person found himself at the base of Area 51 in Nevada and caught on camera something unusual. The place is legendary even without aliens. Here at the classified airfield by the Salt Lake Groom Lake, for decades they tested the most secret airplanes of the country, from the high-altitude reconnaissance aircraft U-2 to stealth invisible aircraft. At first, everything is mundane: hangars, cars, lights, until a smooth metallic apparatus appeared in the air. It moved too evenly, almost flawlessly, and described circles over the base. Someone says, "A secret project of the United States." Someone is sure, "Not from here at all." One thing is indisputable: it did not look like an ordinary airplane at all. A man in Mexico filmed a wild frame. A glowing red sphere enters straight into the crater of the volcano Pico de Orizaba, the highest peak of the country, more than 5,500 meters. This is higher than any point of the Alps, a mountain with an eternal glacier on the crown, onto which even experienced climbers go with oxygen. As soon as the sphere hit inside, everything around was immediately covered with dense clouds, as if the sky hurried to hide it. Someone says ordinary volcanic gases, and someone is sure that something entered that volcano, and maybe never came outside. In this footage, along a night road, they are transporting on a platform something that looks like a huge ship. The tractor next to it seems like a toy. That is why the video clip was nicknamed the Alien Transport. The convoy is accompanied by black vans, and where all this is moving, no one understands. Some say a secret project is secretly transferred from base to base. Others, that the cargo is not from this planet at all. In the darkness, you can only see how something too big for our road crawls slowly. So much so that for it seems they blocked the whole oncoming lane. In a video from a remote mountain region, a triangular object slowly descends onto a peak. From below hits a bright glow, as if it is held in the air on some kind of energy. Locals say that the landing place faintly glowed for several more hours. Officially, no one recorded anything, but people nearby assured that on the next night over the same place they saw strange lights again. The mountain is silent, and the lights return. Guests of a hotel on a mountain in Tokushima received a spectacle that they definitely did not order. A huge glowing object appeared over the peak. It silently hung in the night sky, blinking with a soft blue light, and this light was reflected in the water below. Someone rushed for the telephone. Someone just froze. Locals later said that for those places, unidentified flying objects are not a rarity, but this was larger and brighter than anything they had seen before. This short video clip was filmed on a lousy camera, and still everyone discusses it. A person was walking through the mountains and noticed a strange thing. A shiny disc hung motionless over a flat patch of land. It stood like that for a couple of seconds, and then tore off from its place so sharply that the camera could barely keep up. For an airplane, the movement is too whipping. Someone says, a drone. Others are sure that this is a much more advanced thing. On a lousy picture, you cannot hide the sharpness of such a jerk. In the Kuzbas, one of the largest coal basins of the world, miners were opening up layers of earth when the bucket of the excavator ran into something strange, a huge, perfectly round stone. At first they thought, well, a boulder, but when they cleaned off the dirt, it became exactly like a petrified flying saucer. Smooth surface, disc shape, the workers went numb. A part of the specialist said, a rare geological quirk. But the thought just would not let go. What if this is something ancient that once really descended from the sky? In a video from Egypt, a crowd gathered at the pyramids, but not for the sake of ancient stones. Everyone looked up. Over the pyramids slowly floated a glowing triangle, turned with its top downwards. At first it froze, then slightly swayed to the side and melted. People stood dumbfounded. Someone assured that a light vibration was felt in the air. Whatever it was, for a minute it turned the most ancient riddle of the planet into a completely fresh one. The pyramids in Giza are about 4,500 years old, and for all this time the sky above them rarely surprised people more strongly. People in Canada were going about their business when a strange thing appeared in the sky, a tall, dark object similar to a monolith, silently hanging in the air. It did not pass for an airplane, nor for a balloon, and the people looked in confusion as it stands in place in the middle of a clear day. Soon fighter jets appeared and began to circle around, and right here it became serious. A moment later, the object was no longer in its place. Just a test, say some. Something much greater, answer others. A guy went out for a night walk and noticed a strangeness in the sky, a star that burned noticeably brighter than the rest. At first he decided that his eyes were failing him, but on the zoom everything looked different. The light gave off purple and seemingly pulsated, as if it was alive. It moved neither like an airplane nor like a drone, and the longer the guy looked, the clearer one thing became. It does not look like an ordinary star at all. Real stars do not pulsate with color and do not hang over roofs. They twinkle evenly and stand in place all night. In 2023, a traveler in Alaska was filming snow mountains and caught on camera something strange. At first, only sky and clouds, until a pale blue object began to move in the frame. It almost merged with the background as if it tried to remain unnoticed. Then it smoothly left and hid behind the mountains. Someone says, a drone, but it moved completely not humanly evenly. What hides in plain sight is the hardest of all to notice. A family was walking through a closed section of a mountain ridge and received something that they will hardly forget. On the peaks suddenly spread out a huge shadow. Raising their heads, they saw a giant disc-shaped object silently hanging over the ridge. It was so large that it covered almost the entire crest under it. Everyone froze, watching how the alien apparatus hung for a bit and then slowly went into the clouds and dissolved entirely. The shadow came off the crest, and the mountains again became simply mountains, as if there had been nothing. Disc-shaped object silently hanging over the ridge. It was so large that it covered almost the entire crest under it. Everyone froze, watching how the alien apparatus hung for a bit and then slowly went into the clouds and dissolved entirely. The shadow came off the crest, and the mountains again became simply mountains, as if there had been nothing.